Bottom right, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. Here in the quarterfinals of today's Kung Fu Cup, we have got our red Zerg. It is dark. It was about going a massive journey to find the observer I want to follow, but it wasn't so bad, was it? If the casters and players go to Stormgate, it will shrink even more. Well, yes, of course, but like, I mean, there's going to be some people that just don't like Stormgate, right? There are going to be some people that just don't like Stormgate. Whether that's some casters, whether that's some players, like there will be, viewers. There will be a portion of the community that will not like Stormgate. And so they will just stick to watching StarCraft. And because of that, so StarCraft will still exist, you know? Like I say, it's really just about it being manageable. It's really about it being, like, sustainable and at the right size. I don't know, man. Like, you've got so many different players and different people. Like, I mean, even if like, say like a lot of the cast and stuff go to Stormgate, I still think a lot of the StarCraft casters will do StarCraft related stuff. I don't think we're gonna shut down StarCraft and never log back in. You know, I don't think that's a thing. Quite frankly, I don't think that's a thing. So yeah, will Stormgate kill StarCraft? No. Will Stormgate have a negative effect on StarCraft? Yes, 100%, at least for a short amount of time. At least for like an initial period, there's 100% going to be a negative impact on StarCraft. Like I say, over time, StarCraft will bounce back, I think. Reaper, I'm going to dance with these Zerglings as we get through the early stages. Things to be coming up, factory reactor, all coming through for the moment. Just going to be seeing our Zerglings coming across, and that SCV is going to get chased over to the right-hand side. Another Zergling showing up as well, so just getting that started. As we got our factory setting up into a reactor, Barrick's going to come over and get the tech lab going. Clem heading into a pretty standard set of moves for TVZ so far. Dark has a few links across the map now that the Reaper has actually died. We can bring these across, get a bit of a peek in. No third CC from Clem, going to play a bit more of a, an aggressive opening. Going to put a bit more pressure on, rather than fully focusing on the 3 CC of building. Yeah, the Reaper going down, a bit of a surprise. Guess he just got caught in a bit of an odd position. I was, not going to lie, I was looking and reading chat, so... Lings have speed, and they will get a Marine to start. Going to try and get an SCV-2, as the defense is pretty reasonable from Clem, though he had Hellions already in the natural, and he had Hellions coming back to help as well, as we do have the Ling dead in the main base before we got an SCV. So good hold. Honestly, just a few Lings going down, which might not seem like a big deal, but actually those are Lings now given up for not much gain. Okay, he got a bit of a scout in, but he is now going to have to replace those Lings to defend against the Hellions, which, if Clem wants to, he might get a bit aggressive. He has been quite divey into mineral lines as of late, and this could be one of those times where he goes for exactly that, knowing what just happened. Won't it be good for both games rather than cannibalistic? I mean, if Stormgate is good enough to generally increase... Well, here's the thing, right? There's a lot of people that in the past really enjoyed watching and playing SC2 that don't do it anymore. Those people don't dislike SC2-like games. SC2 just doesn't do them for them anymore. It's older, it didn't get all the love it maybe deserved. It's very difficult to play and keep on playing because it doesn't have a lot of the grabs of a modern day game. SC2 is really built in this and released in this weird time where it was still popular to release a game and then to release an expansion pack that you buy, right? in a year or two after SCT, we started to see this free-to-play model that was very friendly for people kind of being able to grind battle passes and just have progress in their games. Like, you know, when StarCraft was made, it was very normal for competitive games to be like, there's a ladder, you see how good you are, and that's the urge to improve and to play. But over the years, gaming has just changed and developed, and nowadays the idea of having progress, heroes to level up, or battle passes to fill out, or cosmetics to earn, or, you know, all these things, and that just doesn't exist in SC2, right? The war chest was a thing, but it was a very badly executed idea because it was built into a game that didn't have that set up from its foundations, right? Like, StarCraft units were not designed with skins in mind. StarCraft units, and armies were not designed with these sort of things in mind at the base level, so adding them in later was doable, but it didn't come super naturally, and it didn't, in my eyes, work super well. Like, I never got into leveling up a war chest like I got into battle passes in other games, for example, right? So there's a massive amount of people out there who love the idea of SC2 and love the idea of RTS, but they don't, invest into it because other things grabbed their attention and took them away. And I really think if Stormgate can come back and have, like, a very powerful, like, if Stormgate goes in knowing all these things and aiming for all of these things, and is on top of that a very good RTS to follow up from StarCraft, it will bring back a lot of those people. And then it would be a good thing for StarCraft, because a lot of these people will remember their love for StarCraft, and they'll probably end up playing some StarCraft as well eventually down the line again, or watching some StarCraft if there's still some StarCraft to watch, you know? That's always been my opinion of SC2, that it was just built at a weird time where the games industry really transitioned from an old model to a new model. If StarCraft 2 had come out a few years earlier, would have been obviously even older by now, but it would have been even more in place. Whereas, if it came out like 3 years later, it would have actually been like borderline redonkulous what it was. Like, the later, like, the further along you go, the more gaming has basically changed, so. Yeah, TLDR. There's a lot of people out there that love StarCraft, it's lost interest in them over time. You know, a lot of people watch too many Swarm Host games, a lot of people found it frustrating to play. And, stuff like co-op, right, was massively successful in StarCraft. Can you imagine StarCraft had co-op from the start? If StarCraft 2 had co-op from the start, it would have been so big. Like, actually, like, insanely big. It just came too late. Even if, it came with free-to-play and Legacy of the Void, but, like, it just still came too late. So if a game has all of these things, and it's a very good game, from the very baseline, from the very beginning, yeah, I think it's going to do very well, and I think it'll be very good for RTS in general. That said, we've got a game going on here, and Clem has taken down the 4th base of Dark. The pressure he's applied throughout this has been pretty darn good. He's killed 8 drones, a lot of lings. The most important thing is he didn't lose a lot of units himself in doing this. Setting up some tanks here and continue to push up this left-hand side. Clem has got himself a position where he's going to be able to work through a little bit. Oh, nice little tank shot there, just baiting the banelings into the tank. Nice little catch. Marines move up, just going to stem in. We do have the Queens trying to come through as well. The Hydras, the Lings, the Banes continuing around. Our Marines will just come across, and the Lings are going to continue to come through here. Bane's still taking just a little bit of extra damage. The Hydras going to jump on top of the siege tank. And now the Marines are going to come back around once again. Fire still coming up the right-hand side, so we're now playing this split army. Clem trying to make it as difficult as possible for Dark to regain control of this game. And if Clem can keep the 4th base cancelled, Dark is never going to be able to sustain enough units and enough production to truly stay in this game. And right now, 2 Banshees saved from earlier. This is the great point of what Clem does in TVZ. Retention of units. And boom, 2 Banshees get a cancel on the 4th base. Minutes down the line from when they were first seen and when they were first useful. And a lot of people, when you lose those Banshees early, will never have that opportunity. And for Clem, this just denies a 4th base by even longer in the game, and that's obviously absolutely huge. Marines continue up. We do see a little bit of creep spread continuing to go down. Lings, Banes, Hydras in the center. Trying to wrap around a little bit. We do have a 2-2 upgrade lead from Dark. Very soon, he will have 2-2 to 1-1. Is that enough to overcome the army supply disadvantage? I personally don't think so. Usually, upgrades are very much so a thing when army supplies are closer, you will see that advantage come through. Will it help Dark? Absolutely. Will it bring him back from the brink of defeat in this game? That I think is asking a bit too much. what could be very good for Dark is if he can get like one big jump on one half of this army and just fight this army in two halves with an upgrade lead. That could have maybe been an opportunity or potential for success. Clem does join everything together now, though, and he is finishing his own +2 attack at the very least. Ghost Academy also on the way as he realizes, too, that it is time to start really focusing up on some future tech here in this game number 1. Marine's going to pull back. Tanks are going to set up. Laying Vayne, Hydra surging forward. And Marines continue to kite away. An extra Marine showing up from the left, from the south. Moving upwards, we will get an Overseer taken down already. The Banelings already getting picked off. The Lings and the Hydras continue to try and move through. The Marines really are quite overwhelming at the moment. The Banelings continue to get nuked, and, well, he said that Clem was in a pretty hefty position in terms of the army supply, and this is exactly that coming into play right now. As we just have too many Marines, too many tanks. Dark never able to get comfortably onto the 4th base, and Clem just trading wonderfully throughout the early stages. Clem, a very solid game 1. Right now you need like 10 actions to build one building. I think one of the things they showed early was something along the lines of like you could just click build and then click your building, and then like you could click build, select the build, and just place it. And it would just take a worker, you know, it would like smart think which worker to take, pick it up, and just take that worker from wherever it is, bring it across, and start building this structure, right? Whereas obviously in StarCraft you have to pick your worker, get it over here, press build. It's just even that selecting the worker stage, it's just you have to go here, then here, for example, right? That's like a lot of additional actions that start to get cut out potentially. Of course, like I say, if you want to be good, you know, you have your worker here at the exact time you have the money. So it's like, it's about, well, a lot of what they said is about kind of, you know, keeping the skill ceiling high while reducing the skill floor, I guess. Top right, blue Terran is Clem. He's up a game. Bottom left, our red Zerg is Dark. We'll try and stay a bit more StarCraft focused in the beginning of game 2, guys. I appreciate we got a little bit off StarCraft topic at the start of that last game. Link's coming up. He's going to be pulled first here from Dark. Bit of aggression from him then for these first few Zerglings. Against a Reaper-based opening. Well, 6 Lings may even be looking to try and get a grab on the CC or something as wild as that here. They're going to pop out in a moment. They will begin to move across the map. A CV Scout is good for Clem. It will tell him exactly what's coming his way. He's not going to get greedy with the reactor after the Reaper. He is indeed going to build a Marine, and he should be pretty fine against these first Zerglings. So this is not going to do too much in the end from Dark. So this is going to turn out pretty nicely for Clem. As Dark's early investment, not going to do much. We'll see if he wants to continue the aggression with a Roach Roaring or so. Definitely a possibility. Going to see the reactor coming through on the barracks. We do see our factory also being produced. Like I said, just very standard from Clem. Obviously now getting that reactor after a Marine feels comfortable, knows what's coming. That SCV Scout really is quite nice. It really does just give you that little first heads up as to what Dark is getting up to, and that just stops Dark from kind of starting to get into a more troubling position where he kind of, you know, works his way through you and kind of gets you to make mistakes and all those little things. Aliens coming up on that reactor, just going to be seeing our starport, our tech lab all coming through as well. Link speed still building, a few extra drones also being produced here. And Queen also coming up. A lot of good bits and pieces on the way for the moment. Now, our starport's about to finish, and that will be able to jump on over to that tech lab. We'll see if Clem wants to go Banshees again. The Banshees were great for him last game, not just early, but obviously continuing through, getting those that 4th base cancel on the top right side, for example. Was also a pretty hefty benefit. We do see the Reaper Hellions moving down. Coming across, Link speed coming through. We are going to be seeing our Queen just coming across, just going to chase that Reaper back up to the top. Grenades go down, Queen's going to get bopped over the sides. We do have Ling speed, is about to finish up. More Queens, more Lings, more drones. All continuing through. We do have that Stim Pack, Cloak, and Banshee play still coming in as well. Can a Reaper throw a grenade up a cliff if he has vision? I don't see why not. It's just very... I would imagine so. A lot of the time you can see interactions where like a single Reaper jumps up a cliff and then Reapers drop grenades to kind of protect that Reaper as you bait units forward and so on. But you can up a ramp but not up a cliff. Can you really not? Huh. I would have guessed it would have been possible, although I guess the interaction I'm explaining, a lot of the time it's the Reaper on the high ground that drops the grenade. I guess that makes sense, actually. That was one of those things where I was like, well, I feel like we never see it, so it probably does just work, but... yeah. Alright, well. There you go, StarCraft. I mean, today we also learned that if you interference Matrix and Archon, it stops building, it stops morphing. I'd never seen that before, so... like I say, it's been a very educational day of StarCraft 2 so far, as Hellions will be making their way down to the south. A single Banshee at the front will get a cancel on a Baneling nest. The Queens get into position, our Lings run in. First Hellions already going down. This Banshee just going to cloak up, and they are going to pick their way through these Queens. They're going to get rid of one Queen straight away. A second Queen in some trouble as well. Oh man, this is rough for Dog, just losing a couple Queens right off the bat. These Banshees already finding some pretty darn good damage. What a startup that is. Banshees back around into the center. Bit of Hellion Reapers out over to the right side as well, trying to stay active and figure out what it can get up to. He has our Evolution Chambers, Baneling Nest, Baneling Speed, all the good stuff from Dog starts to get going. Another little call down on the depot at the front. Hellions are going to go and get stuck in a corner, though. That's pretty nice. Those Lings getting a good surround, going to be able to just grab themselves a chunk of those Hellions. Obviously, knocking those out of the way is a big deal. As you do have the Banshees coming up, they get a little bit of damage done. Hatchery will go down on the 6 o'clock position as well. All of this coming through then as 1-1 upgrades, combat shield. All of that continues to build up as medevacs and a tank, and all the rest of it continues through. The Overlord in the skies going to get knocked down as well. The army of Clem continues to push down the bottom side of the map. Queens come over, just going to be seeing a couple Queens, going to be taking some damage. We're going to lose one straight away. This Hatchery is not going to go down just yet. This push from Clem, well, the setup was nice. The Banelings coming in from the other side, though, as the Lings wrap around from the back is rough. So you lose your siege tanks very quickly. The 1-1 upgrade lead really did give potential to that push from Clem, who is just up a little bit of supply in general. Also ahead in work, because Dark is not having a good time, man. Dark is not having a good time at all. Clem just seems to be a little bit all over him today. He seems to be in pretty good control of this series so far. Here in the quarterfinals, winner of this through to the semis, I believe in the same section as Max Fax and Hero. We could be in for a bit of a banger of a semi-final up on this top half of the bracket today. That is for sure here in the Kung Fu Cup. Marines are going to unload again. Lings begin to move forward immediately. The medevacs will just evacuate, though. They say they want nothing to do with that trade. So they back it up, like I say, pretty much immediately. No messing around. In play right there. Marines coming through. We do see the few, well, the Overlord taking a little bit of damage. This medevac very low, but it's not in any immediate danger. It's not near any Queens or anything like that. It's just staying somewhat out of reach for the moment, and we've got ourselves the Marines moving forward again. Lings do come in for a bit of a wrap around. Marines jump back into medevacs. Are they just going to boost across to the side to drop down into the main base? Stone Claws is about halfway done. The Queens come over, and the Medivacs will be punched away for the moment. It's a lot of units here from Clem. Just pushing down the right. I mean, he is closing in on being maxed out. Upgrades are maybe a little bit favored to Doc. Actually, very even. Even both players a little bit further behind on the armor than they are the attack. Doc's forward base here in trouble. I mean, at least this time it's his 5th base in trouble and not his 4th. At least with the 4th base up, you can have a little bit more sustained production and everything. Banshees now being used defensively again. You talk about, oh my god, those were 2 amazing banelings. They're just kind of wandering forward and actually connecting. That was incredible. But yes, the Banshees really are something which really do just stand out as a... I mean, just one of these units that really are so good if you can keep them alive. So much utility later on in the game. And yet we always talk about them as these earlier game units and everything, and they're not something you're going to build later in the game, but they are so useful if you just keep them up and running. And Clem really has been so great at that. Last game he found value with them right there, helping to defend the counterattack, helping to dissuade Dog from being as distracting as he might have wanted to be. We'll close with that +2 attack upgrade. Looks like Dog will reach Carapace sooner than Clem will reach armor. Right now, for this fight, the upgrades are even, though. I'm pushing forward. Is actually going to find a few of these Banes that just sort of stopped, and they do not exactly roll in very nicely there, although this first Widow Mine, I was going to say, is almost definitely going to friendly fire, but Clem unburrows it. This time we're going to reset. Some of these mines unburrowing again, they're so deep onto creep, and kind of amazed he didn't lose more of them on the unburrow. My goodness, these Marines are just standing solid. The Lings cannot get close. A little target fire on that Baneling on the south side as well, if you noticed that. That was a very cute little play, just to make sure these Marines can stand strong for as long as possible. Clem going to spend a bit more of his money and rallying new units across the map already as well. There's a couple of Banshees set up overhead. Cloak is activated, although we do have an Overseer. But even just a little bit of extra damage output, a little bit more DPS right now will not go amiss as Widow Mines firing here, there, and everywhere. I mean, they're just all over the place as well as Dark scrambles together a defense. It always looks as though the Zerg is kind of having some good progress until it's just like there's just a couple Terran units left, and it's actually a lot of Terran units left. Dark has a few Banes already. That is going to be his saving grace right now. If he didn't have any Banes, this game might just be done. Did those Banes buy him enough time to get the rest of these Banes online? It did. Not that it's, again, looking any better for him. He's down 60 supply in this game, and Clem doubling the army supply is really just reinforcements away. From a 2-0 here in the quarterfinals of the Kung Fu Cup, this one did not go Dark's way at all. Muslings still trying to make their way through, and we're just going to be seeing the Queens getting shot down one by one. Bane's trying to come across. Parasitic Bomb will land on the Medivacs, which will split up, split apart. Fire continues to move through here. Parasitics are disappearing, but yeah, Clem just has too much. 2-0. And that is going to